Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday this and that where I talk about all kinds of different topics, giving you garden updates, whatever I feel like talking about, maybe answering a question or two. So let's get to the topics of today, starting off with the elderflowers. Now, some people were commenting on the picture that I put in the community section that their elderflowers have already come and gone. And one thing I didn't specify in that post is what type of elderberry this is. So this is a Sambucus nigra, which is the black elderberry. Now around here in our very cool, wet climate, the red elderberries, the flowers have come and gone a long time ago, but the black takes much longer. Well, the red ones are native to our area where the black ones are not. Now, some people may wonder why I'm collecting flowers and not the berries. Well, first of all, the flowers and the berries have very, very similar benefits. The one thing you're not going to get from the flowers are those higher antioxidants like you get from the berries because of its deep color. The bluer a fruit is, the more antioxidants it has. However, the elderflower itself is still very beneficial and has many uses. Now, a year, 2 years ago, however long it was, I did do a video on the benefits of both the flowers and the berries, and I'll be putting the link to that video in the description box down below so you can check that out, learn more about the many uses for both parts of the plant. But understand, it's only the flowers and the berries that you can use. I'm only just getting started because my elder flowers have only just started blooming and not all of them are open yet. I like to wait until they're open before I harvest them. But here's the other thing. I only put up a pint jar each year and then let the rest of them turn to berries and harvest those later. Now around here, the berries do not get ripe until fall, like later in the fall. And by that point, we've started getting our higher winds. And because, at least around here, I'm assuming everywhere else too, the elderberry can get quite tall. By that time, when the winds come and I've got the berries are finally starting to get ripe, way up high, the winds will blow really hard and break them off. But the lower ones tend to stay intact more because they're not catching as much of the wind and are also less likely to get eaten up by all the birds. The birds are going to see the ones up high and eat those. So those are the flowers that I will harvest, because if I don't harvest them, I may get nothing out of those ones that are growing way up high like that. So I'd rather at least get the flowers because they do have many medicinal benefits and uses, and some people even use them just to make a tasty syrup out of or tea. A couple other things I wanted to talk about was another picture I posted was a picture of one of the flowers on my Johns Wort. And yes, it is indeed Johns Wort. But because I posted that picture, I just simply said I was excited to finally get some because a friend of mine had bought a Johns Wort plant from a nursery so she could grow it, and hers did really well for her, enough so that it seeded and she got volunteers, and she gave me a volunteer plant, which was great. So it's just a young plant. When she gave it to me, it was only this tall, and now it's about this tall. The image I initially posted of the single flower, that part is probably only maybe 8 inches tall, and it's just the one little offshoot. It was the only part that had an open flower on it, so I took a close-up of it. Then the next day I took another photo of that same section where it had 3 open flowers, and that looked like this. Some people came in and tried to convince me that was not Johns Wort, or that it wasn't the medicinal variety. Now, best I can tell, no, it doesn't seem to be the same one that is most commonly used for medicinal purposes. But the cool thing about these people bringing this up is it caused me to do much deeper research, because I hadn't really researched Johns Wort much, only just to get the basic ideas of some of the benefits. I thought, well, I'd really like to grow this. And usually I don't do a deeper dive until I start growing something and want to start using it. So because some people brought these these things to my attention, it was like, well, I better make sure I know what I have. Now, I'll admit, I have yet to find out what exact variety of St. Johns Wort I have, even though a couple of people were convinced they knew exactly what it was. The problem is, even when I looked up the variety they were sure it was, I found plants that looked very different than what I have. So, I try to look up images. I try to look at several images. And so it doesn't sound to me it's even the one that people were so sure that is what it is. But here's what I found is there are at least 10 different varieties of St. John's wort. There's a lot of them out there. From what I'm finding, all of them have the same basic medicinal properties. Now, some people will say, well, this variety or that variety is toxic. Well, guess what? Else I found all varieties, even the most commonly used one, can be toxic. It all has to do with how often you're taking it and the amount. So I'm not done learning about this plant, obviously. I still have a lot more to research in regards to what I have and how to use it and all the many benefits. So that will come down the line. I am not ready to harvest anything off this plant yet because I never harvest anything from a new herb plant until at least the second year. I want to give it time to get established and put out enough foliage that I have enough to work with. So I have plenty of time to research it before I even start using it. I am just grateful to finally have a plant. One of the reasons I want to bring this up is that no matter how much you think you know about any one plant that you're using, any one herb, there's always more to learn. I have herbs I've been growing for many years and been using, and I don't try to fool myself or anyone into thinking that I know everything there is to know about that plant, such as feverfew or marshmallow. One, because some things will get forgotten that I learned years ago. I'm most likely to remember what I know this plant is good for and how best to use it if I have done that very thing and have the experience of doing that. But if I haven't used it for something else, I may not remember it's good for that. So I constantly have to be reminded. And plus, there's just always more information the deeper you dig that you can find out about all kinds of different plants. Now, yarrow is another one. Though when I started growing yarrow and marshmallow, both actually, I couldn't remember all the things they were good for. I just knew I had read that they both had so many great benefits, and I'm like, I'm growing these. And couldn't even remember why I decided to grow them at the time, but I'm growing them because they were just so high in medicinal benefits. Well, you're going to find that's actually pretty common in most of your herbs, even your wild ones like plantain and dandelion, pineapple weed, heal all. They're a lot of the ones that can just grow for almost anyone, anywhere. A lot of those can have as many benefits as any other medicinal herb you're specifically trying to grow because you heard it was really good for this or that. So just understand that it's always best to just keep learning. Don't think that you've come to a point where it's like, okay, I have nothing more to learn of this herb. Don't allow yourself to get stuck there. Or if somebody challenges your way of thinking about that certain herb, just like these people did with me, I honestly could say I really don't know a lot about St. John's wort because I have yet to do a deep dive on it. I just knew I wanted to grow it. So that caused me to, well, I better look into this a little more right now while it's all fresh in my mind. And I appreciated that. I learned quite a bit just in that little bit of research that I did. But the same goes the other way around. If you're one that thinks you know a lot, and someone kind of throws something out there that might differ than what you think, don't stop there in your learning. Maybe you should also dig deeper yourself to find, oh, there's more than just 2 varieties of St. John's wort or this or that. And oh, I guess they all can be used medicinally. It might surprise you what you will learn. So I had to do the same thing. I bring this one up quite often because it's the one that sticks in my memory the most. I was certain that the leaves of calendula were toxic because I looked it up one day just to find out, are they edible? And the first site I came across said they were toxic. So I'm like, okay, I'll just leave the leaves alone. And then I pass that information on to others in the early days of my channel until somebody else came in and told me, oh, they absolutely are edible. In fact, I use them in salads. I like to stir fry with them. And I'm like, really? Caused me to do some deeper research. And guess what I found? They are indeed edible. So a lot of it also depends on how you do your research when you're trying to learn about a plant. If you type in something and you put, is this toxic? Chances are high you will find one place that says it is. But you can't stop there. Try putting in the benefits of such and such plant. You'll actually get a lot more information if you do it that way. But it's also good to find out whether or not something's toxic. Now, toxic doesn't mean you can't use it at all. There are plenty of herbs that are considered toxic that are used medicinally, including foxglove. So always do your research. But when it comes to anything that can be labeled as toxic, even the most commonly used St. Johns Wort, you need to learn how to properly use it, what amount is going to be best for you, and like somebody else had mentioned, to take a break from using it every 4 weeks, even the stuff you buy over the counter. All right, moving on from there, a few more gardening things. I have been harvesting my snow peas. And I decided today to go ahead and start fermenting a small jar. It's just a pint jar of snow peas. Now, my preferred way to put up my snow peas is to cut them up and freeze them. And then when I want throughout the year, if I want to make a stir fry of any kind, that's when I usually like to use my snow peas. I just open it and dump it into whatever dish I'm creating. And that makes it easy. It's already chopped and prepared. And yeah, so I still have a few more openings to fill up my little spots of snow peas, which I prefer to freeze in half-pint jars. But years ago, I did ferment some like this just to try it and did actually enjoy them. And I went ahead and added onion, garlic, and red pepper to this in case I decide to eat it more like I would kimchi. But this is still a great way to preserve things like snow peas if you want to use them in future dishes. Now, I know for a lot of you, especially if you're in warmer climates, your snow peas are probably done because snow peas do not like it when it gets too hot. They want to finish out at that point. But because, especially this year, we've been staying pretty cool here, I'm right at that point. I'm getting a lot of snow peas and they're going to keep coming in. So one of the things I want to do, though, to make sure I get as much snow peas out of those plants as I can, is always pick them as soon as I start to see, no matter how long or short the pea is, as soon as I start seeing those little peas wanting to try to fill out, pick those right away. Don't let anything go to maturity until you've harvested all you want and now you want some to save for seeds. Because once your snow peas start going to seeds, or any peas for that matter, once it starts to get to that point where they're going to seed, the plant is going to finish out because it's realized, okay, I've done my job, I'm done. So if you want to keep those coming in, keep it producing for as long as possible, pick those. Now, another gardening thing is I have started harvesting my potatoes. I've just done one little small harvest so far. Here's a picture of some reds and yellows because I planted only reds and yellows this year. I've got some out front. I've got some in 3 other places in the backyard. And most of them are ready right now, though not all of them are. But I'm just getting started because partly because I was doing some things where I needed some potatoes right away. But I will be hopefully within the next few days doing some dry canning, just in a small batch of dry canning with my potatoes, since I haven't tried it yet. And I'm really excited to try it. I think I'm going to do as many as 4 pint-sized jars of the potatoes like that, and then try one of them right away and see what I think. And if I like it, I'll probably be canning up quite a few like that. Everybody I've heard from that has tried it just loves it. So I'm really excited to try it. But I also don't want to make the mistake like I've done with other things in the past and listen to other people and then did up a whole bunch just to find out when we started working through some of these things, like the potatoes canned in water, that they were just okay. Wasn't super crazy about them no matter what I used them in. I found, for me personally, I found that the only thing I really liked the potatoes canned like that in was when I used them either in a potato salad or dumped them into a pan with the roast, like a beef roast, and let them cook in the juices of the roast. I mean, they're already cooked when you can them, obviously, but that way it absorbs the flavor of the roast too, and that did make them taste a lot better. But anyway, so I'm trusting some of you guys out there, Deb, you, and all you others that have told me to do it. I'm doing it, and I'm trusting you, but I'm still only going to do a small batch. Okay, a couple other things, and then I'll finish out, was one question that this was actually in the Facebook Azure Standard group that someone had, a local lady. And one thing about Azure Standard, these are not Azure Standard vanilla beans. This is, I don't know what all, several different brands, because I would buy a little bit at a time and then put them in a jar, vacuum seal the jar, and then just keep adding to it, open it up, add more, vacuum seal it. These actually go clear back to 2015. And they're still good because they were vacuum sealed. But anyway, on Azure Standard, if you go to their site, they sell their vanilla beans by weight. So 1/4 pound, 1/2 pound. And so a lady was asking, well, how many beans are in a 1/4 pound? I need to know. And she couldn't get an answer. Well, some places like Vanilla Bean Kings, which I do have an affiliate with, and they are great. They have probably the best price I've seen on organic vanilla beans. But they sell theirs by quantity. So if you're ordering by the pound, you got to realize it's going to be an estimate because it's going by weight. So the amount that's in there is going to depend on the type of bean, how big they are, how heavy they are, and all that. But approximately 1/4 pound is going to equal about 25 beans. 25 beans is going to equal approximately 1/4 pound or 4 ounces. So if that helps people who are wondering if they're wanting to order the vanilla beans from Azure Standard and going by weight, but they need to know how many because they want to know how much they need to make vanilla. There you go. Approximately 25 beans per 1/4 pound or per 4 ounces. And with that said, while I was grabbing these, I saw my apple infused, my most recent batch of apple infused cranberries. I don't remember if I talked about these in a recent this and that, though I've talked about them like in a recent live. These are the best organic dried cranberries ever, in my personal opinion. I know I did a post about this. And so I bought a 5-pound bag. I got another 5-pound bag coming in on my next order. And I just vacuum sealed just like I did the vanilla beans. And yes, these are some of the softest, most squishable cranberries there are. But I'm still absolutely not one bit concerned about vacuum sealing into the jars. I've been vacuum sealing dried fruits like raisins, cranberries, and more, figs, into jars without one bit of issue. You have to remember when you're talking about fruit, and the sugar and the high acid present is going to prevent botulism anyway. And, the big scary boogeyman that everybody wants to use to scare people away from putting up food at all. Yes, it is real, but it is also very rare, and you got to understand where it's going to be present in. It's the same thing with the nuts. I vacuum seal raw nuts of any kind, be they cashews, walnuts, pecans, Brazil nuts, filberts. I vacuum seal them all into jars because that way I can be certain they are not going to go rancid in food storage. Because if you don't vacuum seal your different fatty foods like that, they can go rancid. And so I do all of them that way without fear of botulism. Now, if that is something that scares you because you've heard so many people, talk about it and you feel like they're absolutely 100% right, then you do what's best for you. You can always freeze your nuts, or you can always freeze your cranberries. One of the reasons I like to vacuum seal, though, is even though dried fruits like this will be fine without vacuum sealing, they will get hard. And I want to keep these soft and chewy. Same thing with my vanilla beans. I don't want them to get hard. They're not going to infuse as well when I go to make my vanilla extract with them. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my this and that for the week, and I'll be putting a few links down below you might want to check out. And any thoughts, ideas you have, please share them in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.